Sometimes love isn't enough. Gregg Allman finally reveals what really went wrong with Cher, and it's more real than you think. It was one of the most unexpected love stories in music history, a quiet southern rock legend and a global pop superstar suddenly finding themselves pulled into each other's world. When Gregg Allman first met Cher, nobody really saw it coming. Their personalities were different, their lifestyles were different. Even their public images felt like they belonged to two completely separate universes. But sometimes, that's exactly what makes a connection impossible to ignore. At the time, Gregg was already known for his deep, soulful voice and the emotional weight behind his music. His life, though, wasn't as smooth as the songs he created. He had gone through loss, addiction struggles, and the constant pressure of fame. Cher, on the other hand, had built a massive career in the spotlight, balancing music, acting, and a very public personal life. When these two crossed paths, it wasn't just attraction, it was curiosity, intensity, and something neither of them fully understood at first. Gregg later opened up about how fast everything moved. There wasn't a slow build-up or a long period of getting to know each other. It felt immediate, almost overwhelming. One moment they were meeting, and the next, they were deeply involved. That kind of speed can feel exciting, but it also leaves very little room to truly understand the person standing in front of you. He admitted that being with someone like Cher brought a completely different kind of pressure into his life. Suddenly, everything felt bigger. The cameras, the attention, the expectations. It wasn't just about music anymore. It was about being part of something larger than himself, something constantly being watched and judged. For someone like Gregg, who was used to expressing himself through music rather than public appearances, that shift wasn't easy. At the same time, there was genuine affection. Gregg described moments where things felt real and grounded, away from the noise. They could connect, talk, and share parts of themselves that weren't visible to the public. Those moments mattered. They were the reason the relationship held on, even when things started getting complicated. But complications came quickly. Gregg didn't hide the fact that his personal struggles played a major role. He spoke honestly about how difficult it was to maintain stability when his own life felt unstable. Addiction issues didn't just affect him, they affected the relationship, the trust, and the future they were trying to build together. Cher, being someone who had already experienced life under intense scrutiny, had her own expectations and boundaries. Gregg acknowledged that she wanted things to be different, more controlled, more secure, but change isn't always immediate, and that created tension between them. It wasn't about a lack of feelings, it was about two people wanting different things at the same time. What made their story even more intense was how public everything became. Every disagreement, every decision, every moment, it all seemed to play out in front of the world. Gregg later reflected on how that level of exposure made things harder than they needed to be. It's one thing to deal with relationship struggles in private, but it's something completely different when millions of people are watching and forming opinions. He didn't try to shift blame or paint himself as perfect. In fact, one of the most striking things about Gregg's reflections was his honesty. He admitted that he wasn't always ready for the kind of commitment that relationship required. He admitted that he made mistakes, and he admitted that sometimes love alone isn't enough to fix everything. Yet despite everything, there was no bitterness in the way he spoke. Instead, there was a sense of understanding, almost like looking back at a chapter of life that was complicated but meaningful. He didn't dismiss the relationship as a mistake. He saw it as something real, something intense, something that taught him lessons he wouldn't have learned otherwise. And maybe that's what makes their story so fascinating. It wasn't a simple love story with a perfect ending. It was messy, emotional, and deeply human. Two people from completely different worlds trying to find common ground and discovering just how difficult that can be. As time went on, the cracks in their relationship became harder to ignore. Gregg Allman didn't shy away from talking about how those differences slowly turned into distance. What started as something exciting and unpredictable began to feel heavy. The same intensity that brought them together started working against them. He described how expectations began to clash with reality. In the beginning, everything felt spontaneous and full of emotion, but real life doesn't stay in that phase forever. Responsibilities, personal struggles, and outside pressure started to reshape the relationship. Gregg admitted that he wasn't always in the right place mentally or emotionally to handle it all. There were moments when things could have gone differently. He reflected on how timing plays a huge role in relationships. Sometimes, even if two people care about each other, they meet at the wrong point in their lives. Gregg believed that if certain things had been different, if he had been more stable, if circumstances had changed, the outcome might not have been the same. One of the most powerful parts of his reflection was how he spoke about regret, not in a dramatic or exaggerated way, but in a quiet, honest tone.